Hey, hope you're doing great. I got a short video lesson for you today, and it's all about choosing the very best cut of steak for yourself when you're at a restaurant or when you're at the grocery store. A lot of people are writing in, they want to figure out what the best cuts of steak are, and they have questions about the nutritional profiles of steak and the linkage to heart disease and cardiovascular problems, and it's enough of an issue that I really want to address it and make this video for you today. First of all, let's clear up some myths. Basically, there's a lot of misconceptions out there about lean red meat and the effects on our heart and our cardiovascular system and linkage to heart disease. The main problem with this comes from the studies that involve processed foods, deli meats, sausage, hot dogs into these studies, and those are the studies that show the linkage to heart disease. We need to look at studies that separate these lean meats, these lean red meats, and then evaluate those. These studies are actually very, very surprising. They're showing a lot of beneficial characteristics of incorporating lean red meat into our diet. For instance, there's benefits in our cholesterol levels, benefits in triglycerides. The effect that it has on our cardiovascular system is not detrimental at all when incorporated responsibly and incorporated into a sensible plan that is also going to be very beneficial for our quest to gain lean muscle without fat. Basically, the saturated fat in steak is awesome for boosting our natural levels of testosterone. I'm sure you probably heard of that. But this is exactly why bodybuilders like to incorporate steak either first thing in the morning to gradually rise their level of blood sugar, or at night before bed so that we can have an increase in our natural levels of testosterone overnight. All of that being said, steak is also high in creatine, B vitamins, L-carnitine, magnesium, zinc, all of the things that are very, very good for our quest to gain lean muscle without fat. Another point worth making about the fat that you see in steak is the fact that half of it is monosaturated, which is an extremely healthy fat. A lot of people just think that steak, saturated fat, that's all that they think. They don't understand that half of the fat is actually monosaturated, which is the very, very healthy fats that you find in olive oil, things like that. So let's, without further ado, let's get to my little diagram here where I can show you exactly what kind of steaks I recommend that you grab, for the combination of nutritional benefits, lean muscle building, fat loss, and just overall taste. Okay, check out my whiteboard here that I've got set up for you with all the nutritional profiles from the most popular cuts of steak and fish that you'll run into at the grocery store and restaurants and such. Basically, I put together this in this format here, ranking what I would consider my top choices in each of the different meats here, and I'll explain why. Basically, let's start with steak. Steak, I mean, the most popular choices that you see here from our ribeyes, New York, sirloins, filet mignon, prime rib, round. They're all in 8-ounce quantities, okay? And you have your protein profiles, your fat profiles, carbohydrates, and calories. Now, from what, first of all, a little disclaimer, don't hold me to the exact gram. I mean, if it's a slightly different by a couple of grams in your nutritional software, that's just the way it is. This is something that is to give you the overall lesson. Understand that you might find a little bit of differing information out there if you're researching yourself within a couple grams, okay? So basically, we have my top choices being New York, top sirloin, filet mignon, and round. For the overall, I mean, when I'm taking this into account, I'm taking into account your nutritional profile, your taste, price, just an overall ball of wax here to give you my opinion on what you should consider, as your top choices if you want to know what I would do myself. So basically, if you do your research, you'll find that the round steak and the top sirloin, the round by far is what experts would recommend. I like round. Round's not quite as flavorful as some of the other steaks, and it's not that superior in nutrition, but it is very, very solid. Check it out. I mean, you have, for 8 ounces, you got 68 grams of protein, 21 grams of fat, 489 calories. It's a very, very solid nutritional profile. There's nothing wrong with your sirloin. You can't go wrong with a sirloin, filet, or New York either. Now, what I have underneath here are basically the choices I would roll with for fish when I'm switching into fat loss mode or really wanting to lean down mode. The nutritional profiles here, comparatively, you can take a look. You can understand that the protein is still very, very high per 8 ounces in fish, but the real difference obviously lies in your fat content, how much lower it is, okay? So this is why bodybuilders often shift from steak to fish when they enter fat loss mode. Now, I'm not talking about chicken, but we know that nutrition content of chicken is very, very solid, but there's just not a bunch of different cuts. It's not as exciting to talk about. So I want to get into what my top choices would be for fish. I'd switch a lot of the time to tilapia, swordfish, or halibut, okay, when I'm entering fat loss mode and really wanting to lean down and harden up. So the overall savings come in the form of total calories and calories from fat, which is very, very beneficial when we're trying to lean down. Now, the one that you might be thinking, why don't you have it underlined? Why don't you have it starred? Is salmon. There's nothing wrong with salmon. Salmon's a wonderful fish, and everybody knows the health benefits associated with the high omega-3 content in the fats in salmon. It's just that when I switch to fish, it's for that straight leaning down, hardening up purpose. And salmon's a little bit higher in calories, so you might want to consider that if and when you're really trying to get as lean as possible. Just keep an eye on the overall caloric intake for salmon. But that's pretty much my whiteboard with my lesson, with my top choices of steak and fish. You know, from a caloric standpoint, from a protein standpoint, from everything nutritionally combined with overall taste and price, these are the best values in my mind. Go with them, try them out, and I hope that hope this information benefited you. Thanks a lot. We'll talk to you soon.